So, as we promised at the end of the last Captivating Christian episode, this is going to be a crossover review. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Shannon from Shannon Reviews.
Thank you. Thank you. You love me. You really, really love me. Oh, settle down, settle down. Oh, you guys are just you guys are just too kind.
Yes.
What are we reviewing again?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Since last time you appeared at the end of my review for Deception of a Generation, and you quoted and defended Harry Potter, I figured we should talk about a similar film that just so happens to be about that specific franchise. Harry Potter, Witchcraft Repackaged. Harry Potter, Witchcraft Repackaged is a 2001 Christian documentary in a similar vein to Deception of a Generation. It's meant to warn people that the things their children are into are turning them into Satanists. Well, it's good to know these kind of films were being made long after the 80s and 90s. It wouldn't be until much later till PragerU found a platform to carry on the legacy. The company responsible for all of this was Jeremiah Films, which was founded by a man named Pat Mortriciano, who has certainly gotten around, from being interviewed by Pastor Jerry Falwell to liberal Mr. Potato Head impersonator Bill Maher. You may also recognize the company for its Pagan Invasion series of videos, if you grew up with them like I did. And look how well I turned out!
This was released in 2001, when the first 4 books were published.
It would appear that way.
Oh, Shannon, you're in for a treat with this one.
Huh, yeah, tell that to the big tech bros over at YouTube. I have no idea how pissed I am that the Rockets Your Decision review is still taken down by some company that I don't even think owns the rights to it, but they just claimed they did. Seriously, what the hell, YouTube?
So we begin with some people practicing Wiccan tradition in the woods, led by a woman dressed as the Statue of Liberty, I guess?
And they begin to tell us about how witchcraft is being sold to children through television shows such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Hocus Pocus or GTFO?
Or an enticing article on witchcraft appears in a popular teen magazine.
Ah, you see? I knew it. I knew that's why Britney Spears was making headlines. She is obviously connected to witchcraft. I should have known. The narrator continues on, telling us about witchcraft and Wiccan culture and how it connects to other extremist groups like feminism.
In order to receive wisdom and power for magical skills, they also embrace the concept of self-empowerment by awakening internal spirituality through meditation, visualization, and other mind-altering techniques of self-hypnosis.
Self-improvement, yeah. Was never a fan of that movement to begin with. They then elaborate on how shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer glamorize the use of magic, as well as creatures like ghosts, werewolves, and vampires.
Even though, most of the time, these creatures were portrayed as bad guys. But not like Chris cares. They're just going to complain the internet is a venue for people to practice beliefs other than theirs.
When exactly does Harry Potter come into all of this?
Harry Potter, the orphan child wizard, already famous in his own magical world because he survived the murderous black magic death curse of the evil Lord Voldemort.
Okay, there it is.
The Harry Potter image will be kept before the public for years to come through films, toys, video games, and every type of merchandising product imaginable. According to a U.S. Consumer Research Survey, over half of all children between the ages of 6 and 17 have read at least one Harry Potter book.
I know. Sometimes we got some really great stuff to grow up with.
While many parents are thrilled by the prospect of their children taking an interest in reading, other parents and educators view Harry Potter as the latest tool being used to disciple children into the darkest aspects of black magic.
You know, in Harry Potter, they do have a word for bad magic. It's actually called defense against the dark arts. You know, where you're literally defending yourself against the dark arts. And there's only 3 unforgivable curses. One is the Cruciatus curse. Crucio, as the spell is called. And, you know, you can torture people with that. The other one, well, I forget the name, but like you can persuade people, if you will, to do what you want. And the last is the most unforgivable, is the killing curse, or Avada Kedavra, which is the spell that killed Harry's parents. If you actually read the books, or I don't know, at least watched the first film, you would soon realize that there's a big difference between good and bad. Good wizards and bad wizards. Just like there are good and bad people in the world.
Through Harry Potter books and audios, children as young as kindergarten age are being introduced to human sacrifice, the sucking of blood from dead animals, and possession by spirit beings.
Oh dear Lord, is that true? They're really selling books to children with such horrible themes in them?
These people are basically reiterating the same nonsense Gary and Phil were saying in Deception of a Generation. They complain about actions the bad guys do and assume they're portrayed in the right, when they're clearly not.
The Harry Potter story begins on Halloween night, with the murder of Harry's parents by the evil Lord Voldemort. Through the sacrificial goddess magic of his mother's love, baby Harry is saved, and his blood is given magical powers. Unable to kill Harry, in revenge, Voldemort sears a death curse of a lightning bolt on Harry's forehead.
No. Actually, and this is a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the 7th movie or read the 7th book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, actually when Lily Potter, Harry's mother, gave her life to save her son, the curse itself rebounded and a part of Voldemort's soul landed on the only living thing it could find, and that was Harry. So Harry became an unintentional Horcrux. There's this whole entire thing in the Order of the Phoenix, Book 5, where there's this prophecy, and it was between Harry Potter and Neville Longbottom. Long story short, Voldemort chose Harry.
In the real world, thousands of young fans demonstrate their allegiance to Harry by taking the mark of the lightning bolt on their own foreheads.
So you hear that, any of you who are into that costume play, or whatever the heck it's called? You're actually a cultist sheep, and you pledge allegiance to nature or something.
The power source of Harry's so-called good magic and Voldemort's evil magic is one and the same.
They then show a debate that was featured on MSNBC between a man who says that he doesn't like the effect Harry Potter is having on his children after they read it in school.
Now, you went before the South Carolina Board of Education earlier this week. What are you asking the board to do?
We asked them to review the book for religious content, for violence, in this post-Columbine era that we're living in.
Then they bring on this woman to defend the books. Well, let's see what she has to say after these specific passages are read aloud from the book.
See what I have become, the face said, mere shadow and vapor. I have form only when I can share another's body. But there have always been those willing to let me into their hearts and minds. Unicorn blood has strengthened me these past weeks.
Whoa, wait, whoa, hold on. They drink unicorn's blood in Harry Potter? Ugh.
Again, this is something the villains do, and they actually point out this is a morally wrong thing to do in the movies.
Well, the lady defending the books uses the "it's fantasy" argument. I mostly agree with what she says, though I can't help but feel she really doesn't want to be there. After they show a clip of J.K. Rowling saying the books are moral, what do our debaters have to say?
I think the merit in what she said was they are evil books. I think parents can make a decision on whether they want their children to read these books. She was, by the way, responding to a quote that my wife had given before the school board about the books being violent, and I applaud her for saying they were violent.
Whoa. Promoting paganism and violence? Just wait until video games come out, people. Then the problem will go from a 3 to a 3.1.
Ariel, has he still never played video games before. I know he does Bible-themed stuff, but really?
This man, Robert McGee, a possible relation to Ryan McGee from Super Mega, says the "it's fantasy" argument is foolish because the same could easily be said about pornography being put into the stories.
Unless you're counting fan fictions like My Immortal, pretty sure there was no explicit porn in Harry Potter. Well, let's see what this Lady Carol has to say.
Possibly related to that one lady that's featured in those YouTube videos made by that one guy that plays a bunch of different characters. I believe his name was Shane Dawson.
Joanne Rowling majored in mythology in Exeter University in England.
No, you stupid Karen. Don't you know? J.K. Rowling is a Christian, a TERF, and an all-around fucking bigot, okay?
Ugh, no, you easily offended snowflake. Clearly, she's a liberal, she supports witchcraft, and she's also a part of the gay agenda.
If you ask a pagan, a witch, any knowledgeable expert in the occult or hidden arts, the potter is the female goddess, the goddess of Babylon, who is considered the potter who created human beings from clay.
And potter is also an occupation that specializes in pottery. What's your point?
All through Harry's books, Hermione and others say, concentrate, Harry. If you concentrate hard enough, you can have what you want.
Yes, you see right there, that one infamous tool of witchcraft that no one is brave enough to call out? Concentration.
Ariel, how do you put up with him every week?
Harry's father appears to Harry in a shape change later on. Even though he's dead, he appears as a stag, the horned god.
That wasn't Harry's dad. Harry saw his dad's Patronus, which was a stag. And unbeknownst to Harry, during that time in Prisoner of Azkaban, he didn't realize it was him. Harry and his father have the same Patronus, actually, which is a stag. Little backstory, and I'm not sure if this is 100% true. So, turning into animals, transfiguration, or the evil transforming magic that you guys call it, because you don't do your research, the term is called animagus, or animagi, if it's more than one. So, long story short, Remus Lupin got bitten by a wolf and he turns into a werewolf every full moon. So his other three friends, Peter Pettigrew, James Potter, Sirius Black, learned to transfigure themselves into animals so that way Remus wasn't alone. Nothing evil about that at all.
Eventually we get back to the discussion of the Wiccan culture.
I gotta be honest here. Most of these scenes are the most boring parts of the movie. We don't really understand anything about the Wiccan culture. I know I don't. But these clips are slow, dull, and half the time, I keep getting the impression these are just paid actors from the Jeremiah films.
Well, what makes you say that?
Aside from most of them just coming off as people in Midsummer cosplay, most of the footage is credited to Jeremiah films. Maybe these are real Wiccans. Not entirely sure though. But just a part of me feels these could have been paid actors to portray a group of people so they could claim they interviewed some Wiccans.
Oh, come on, Shannon. Next thing you'll tell me is that this footage right here isn't of real Star Wars fans after the release of Force Awakens. After some more speculation and analysis of the characters like Haggard and the locations like Nightmare Alley, we then see them talking about spells once again. Because you see, if Rowling used actual Latin words, then that must mean she knows a thing or two about demonic spells. Then we get some vintage web zone design from 2001. The Jameson family would be very proud of these people since they know how to surf on the internet. Then they talk about love spells and how they feel incredibly inappropriate, though I'm not really sure why they went back to talking about Buffy the Giant Bean Killer, or whatever it's called, as they then talk about a movie called The Craft.
Meh, this is starting to get even more boring. Let's see them not knowing basic Harry Potter lore again.
When his auntie says something horrid about his dead mummy and calls her a name that Harry doesn't like, he does magic on her and she blows up, she gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is very, very cruel magic.
Harry inflating his aunt was an accident. I mean, you would know that by either reading Prisoner of Azkaban or at least watching the movie. which I assume that you guys have not because you see wizards and witches and magic and you just read what you want to read, think what you want to think, and spew out garbage like this.
One of the arguments is that Harry Potter's series does not actually teach witchcraft, that there's no celebration of seasons. That is not true. By not using the seasonal terms, the argument is that there's no celebration. The Harry Potter series celebrates Halloween, which is a seasonal festival. While it's been given a Christian name, it is still a seasonal festival.
Of course, of course. Wouldn't be a crappy Christian scare movie if there wasn't some blatant Halloween paranoia thrown in there too. Screw you, Jeremiah Films. And now for the resurrection portion and how they use spirits in Harry Potter, including the spirits and talking to the dead and bringing characters back to life.
Those who say that Harry Potter's books do not teach witchcraft don't understand that one of the essentials of witchcraft is that there is no good or evil. There is no right or wrong.
Okay, that's such a lie. Sure, they keep things ambiguous sometimes, that good people can do bad things and vice versa, but Voldemort is portrayed as the ultimate evil, and Harry is the chosen one who can stop him.
So when he goes onto a broomstick, when his teacher tells him not to go onto the broomstick, and he does in defiance, he is rewarded for disobedience by being put onto the Quidditch team.
Okay, book 1, movie 1, right? Harry, Ron, and Hermione are at Hagrid's hut after hours. So is Draco Malfoy. They each get 50 points deducted from their house, and all 4 of them go to the Forbidden Forest. Chamber of Secrets, book 2. Harry and Ron take the flying car and smash into the Whopping Willow Tree. I forget what Ron does in detention, but Harry is with Gilderoy Lockhart, the new professor against the dark arts, and signs autographs with him. So Harry gets punished all the time, just like any other kid.
The lightning bolt is a mark of power from the god Thor, again the horned god, a god of power. And this lightning bolt was considered so important in occult mythology that Hitler used it on his uniforms, on the collar of his uniform.
Aha! See? Right there! I knew it! I knew J.K. Rowling was a fucking Nazi!
You go to any feminine-oriented cult, ask a witch what the significance of the broom is. It's a phallic symbol. The same with the pointed hat, which again is a phallic symbol in occult reasoning. So all these symbols that are there of the brooms, the pointed hat of the witches, the unicorn, that is all part of witchcraft and occult symbology of the fertility cults.
The stupidity in that speaks for itself. Moving on.
Then they bring up divination. Not entirely sure what that is, so I'm just going to assume it's some hippy-dippy astrology nonsense. Then they bring up books with similar themes and how they aren't tools of the occult, like Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty, and the Narnia series. Well, that's just obvious. I mean, Narnia was actually written by a Christian, so there's no way that it could be seen as occultic. Good job, Carol. Checkmating the atheists, I see.
Another thing they mention is how kids will want to turn to do magic and make potions themselves. But even in the books and movies, only wizards and witches are the only ones qualified for that kind of thing. Actually, throughout the whole entire story, well, at least the first book anyway, no magic outside of Hogwarts. I mean, again, if you read the first book or watched the first movie, you would get that. So you see, Carol, there's a huge difference between a wizard and a muggle. It's kind of a big thing here in the franchise.
It is graphically explained to young children how to be able to fight the dark arts, to defend yourself against the dark arts through an actual class called the Defense Against the Dark Arts by a black occultist.
Oh, I get it now. Yes, teaching people to defend themselves against something is automatically the same thing as teaching them about said thing. It makes perfect sense when you don't think about it.
Merlin's beard. How much more do we have left in this horrible film?
And she'd write in the diary, I don't know what came into me. I think I'm going mad because I'm doing things that I have no control over. So here she was, a little 11-year-old girl in Harry Potter's book, possessed by Voldemort's spirit, murdering on Halloween. And there's nothing wrong with Harry Potter.
Well, of course Voldemort would do that. He's the villain!
Whoa. That's legit anger. And so the film ends with them addressing how it's wrong for Scholastic to not only publish these books, but other books such as Animorphs and Goosebumps. Yeah, don't they know they should replace them with some real quality literature for the youth, like Spine Chillers? And they also address how hypocritical it is to have these books, but not the Bible in public schools. Sure, they may have some Christian books like Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia, but come on, wake up, sheeple. I'm being oppressed.
J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, admitted that she got many, many requests for children that wanted to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
There's always the Harry Potter attractions at Universal, I guess.
I want you to obtain this video and share it with your friends, your grandchildren, your children.
Yeah, no. We're done here.
So, I could make a whole entire separate rant about this movie. They have a lot of facts wrong. They just assume that Harry Potter's all this evil wizard thing. Now, I'm Roman Catholic. So is my mom, and so is my grandparents. We all love Harry Potter. And if you actually have done your research and watched the films, or even read the books, or if either one of you think there's audiobooks that you can listen to, I mean, you're just assuming, because it's wizard and witches and magic, spells, that somehow it's evil, when the whole entire series is about good triumphing over evil. Again, as I said, I could make a whole entire rant as much as I want to. I don't want to take up any of your guys' time. Either way, this film has definitely rotted my brain cells. I am now dumb enough, or dumber, for having watching this film. May God have mercy on your souls.
Well, you see, I personally thought that...
Whoa! What was that? Well, I'm Shannon from Shannon Reviews, where I just review stuff, and thank you again to Chris T. Ian for having me on.
No problem, Shannon. Anytime. I'm okay. Ow, that really stings. Ow.
Ronald Weasley. It's Leviosa.
Leviosa.